Okay, so today we're going to assemble our materials for creating custom backgrounds. So the first step, we've got a bunch of paper, various kinds, got some old watercolor sets, a bunch of brushes just lying around, and got some clean water and nice surface. I've got some spell grounds underneath to help absorb anything. So my first step, when you're creating a custom background for these Zoom meetings, is we're going to do some watercolors. First thing I like to do is wet the page a little. So here we're going to wet some portions of the page. And sometimes I don't do the whole page, I just do like a section. And you'll see why in a few moments. We've got paint from different watercolor sets, a traveling set, and then kind of an elementary school basic set here. And some paper in different configurations, and just getting some water down here to create some areas. Now, when you think about a Zoom background, it's like an elongated playing card. Imagine a playing card or a baseball card, trading card. It's slightly wider than it is tall. Think of your monitor. So we're just going to create some areas here of moisture, and then we're going to do some mark making. Okay, so we've got our wet on wet. It's called wet on wet media. And I'm going to do the frontispiece here. Yeah. Notice how it kind of has some resist. So different kinds of paper do different kinds of things. So I encourage you to experiment. Okay. Now then we're going to take just a standard old, this is kind of a brush that probably came with one of these sets. So get some water, some clean water, and you want to make some nice color here. I'm just going to make some black for one, and just see how. Notice the capillary action here. I'm just making some marks and having fun with that capillary action, and just not doing anything particularly special. Just enjoying the way the liquids work together and they blend. Okay, it's kind of fun. So just a nice, and it's almost at random here. And you'll see that this makes for a very lovely background. Now, I'm going to add a secondary color. Okay, let's add some red. I know my water isn't super clean, but just a little color here, just extra, and notice how that just really enhances the overall design. Okay, so we're going to switch over to another spot, slightly different color. Some blues here, and when you think of this kind of mark making, it's almost like a term called asemic writing, which so almost marks. And again, I don't worry about the fact that there's this flow from, in my case, left to right. I just play with it. Just let it happen. Get some of that darker color from the previous, that black. See how that blends in there. And again, I'm not looking for a specific design. Just letting my instincts take hold, and that's trust your instincts. Okay, get some water. Get another color out of this basic one, and let's see how it works on this area. Oh, so that's very fascinating. See how where it's a different type of of texture here. Wonderful. Almost like a fabric or a linen. You'll see this will make for some really fun things. Okay. Some more mark making. And again, this is the first step. This is the natural step. We're going to play with this stuff in a digital imaging program. Just some marks here. And some blue. And let the water do its course. The water in the substrata. That's the paper substrata. Those are some terms that you... Okay, and now I'm going to switch to a slightly different brush. Big brush from earlier. Just make some marks here. Fill these in, some areas. Maybe add a little of that color here. I suggest you work quickly. Just notice how fast I'm working. Just let you might even try doing something, take your offhand, and so it's not going to follow the same kind of pattern that your dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so by taking my left hand, doing something a little different, so my marks might be a little less predictable. Play with some different colors here. And again, we're going to be adjusting these in a digital imaging program. We're going to use Adobe Photoshop. We're also going to try some free programs that you can find online, because not everyone has access to a digital imaging program. So here we'll do one last round of mark making with that black. I really like the black here. And this orange is spectacular. And I think you'll find this is going to be lots of fun as we... And if something is suggested to you, perhaps a landscape or some such, perhaps some kind of pattern or form, go with it. Go with it, by all means. Add some more water to it. Then we're going to let this dry, let this round dry, and again, just wait, and when you think you're finished, you probably are. You can always add some more. And see how great this was. It was so quick that, well, if you're not satisfied with any of these, you just go back and do some more. Okay, so you got lots of choices here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20 base images to choose from. And that's a goodly amount. And we can actually, I'm going to show you how to interpose those with each other. So there's going to be some options within options, and I think you'll enjoy that aspect as well. Okay, and we'll call that, for now, done. There we see how some of these look, and of course zoom in even more. You can see there's intricacies within intricacies, and there might be elements that we want to pull out as we work with the individual pieces, the individual mark making that you, the artist, have created. So here's that strange linen. It's the frontispiece of a new sketchbook here. It's April 22nd, so it's Earth Day, and so maybe thinking a little bit about the Earth and our planet and all the stuff that's going on here in this world. So creating some marks that are personal, and there. So our next step is our images are dry, we're going to scan them in. We're going to scan at a low resolution. We could even reduce the colors, but we like the richness of the color, but the low resolution. We'll keep the file size small. Look at where you're going to save it. I've got save it to my desktop, zoomer scans, and we've got a bunch of them. Remember, there's 20 actual little mini images, so we're going to just go ahead and scan that. And of course, you could also, if you wanted to, scan it or take a photo with your phone, or do a variety of different kinds of ways of capturing the original images. And you'll see that it doesn't much matter how you do it, just as we get those raw images onto your laptop or onto your computer. Sorry, I've got a laptop, so that we can go ahead and create our backgrounds. So I'm going to scan my second one here. And just a second, we'll open up some image editing software. First thing, I launched Adobe Photoshop, Creative Cloud. If you don't have Photoshop, there's a couple other alternatives. GIMP, G-I-M-P, or Krita, K-R-I-T-A, have very much the same look and feel, and are free. So we're going to go ahead and click Open, and we've got those zoomer scans. Okay, so I'll just grab a couple of them, and I can command click or to open. No, go ahead and open all of these, and you'll see they'll quickly populate. There we go. Okay, so we got these, and we want to go ahead and create, in addition to having these open, these JPEGs are open, we want to create a new document. So Command N. This one is a good size, 1920 by 1280. This is going to, as you see, be a landscape version, and the resolution is relatively low, 200 pixels per inch. Background white, and go ahead and create. Okay, so this is going to be the basis for our background. Now, you can see here I have a panel that is layers. There are also, this is a panel that is my tools, and there's a lot of them here, and it can be intimidating. If you've never used an image editing program like Photoshop before, what we're going to be doing is, by starting with some of these basic scans and bringing them in, we can kind of get introduced and take away some of the mystery of Photoshop. So let's go ahead and look at some of these. And so these are the zoomer scans. And is this? Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to select just parts of this. So there's a tool that looks like a rectangle, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this much of it. And in fact, I'm going to grab a little bit extra from here. Okay, and copy it. So Command C, or under the Edit menu, you'll see Copy. And then we'll go back to our untitled piece and paste. And you can see it doesn't quite take up the whole background. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and make it larger by clicking this tool and then just dragging it, and it will expand proportionally. And if you want it to expand without it being proportional, you can hold down the Shift key. So see, that stretches it. Go ahead and make it just big enough to fit the whole thing. Okay, there we go. And press Return, and that kind of locks it in place. Now we're going to perform a little bit of magic. We're going to go ahead and take another one of these pieces. Let's take this one right here. Or actually, I like this one down here. And this time I'm going to use the lasso tool. You can see it's very similar, but I don't want that little section. I'll copy it and go back to Untitled 1, and then paste it. And now I'm going to turn it. You can see the tool changes from expanded to a turning it around, and actually I kind of like this. And here's where I'm going to go ahead, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to expand it disproportionately. That's okay. Again, we're just creating a background, and you'll see in a second how this works. Okay, I'll press Return, that locks that in place. Here's where there's all kinds of different things we can do. Where it says Normal, it's a blending mode for the layer. Now, I could darken it. Multiplying it brings stuff seems to shine through. Color burn, linear burn, darker color, screen. These do things with the underlying layer. Since it's sitting right on top of that first layer we brought in, it's going to do different things. And of course, students love the hard mix, difference, exclusion, all these kind of fun different kinds of things. So luminosity, as you can see, that creates an interesting, it makes it similar in hue to the colors underneath. And I kind of like that. Now, you see this area up here. I'm going to take my eraser tool and watch what happens with this. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of the layer on top. That's one way to do it. Another way is to use the Magic Wand tool and press Delete. And Magic Wand tool, press Delete. Command D gets rid of the marching ants. You can see that leaves a little bit of kind of a glow. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to blur it ever so slightly. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer. Control-click, duplicate layer, click OK. And now this layer I'm going to blur. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And you can see what that does. You can see it blurs the image a little. And then if I pull this down and then use this tool, make it bigger, see how that ghost gets a ghost-like appearance. Pull it back up here, press return, and here's where I'm going to go to multiply and change the opacity. Now you can see, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, as I'm going to let you explore your own versions. But you can see it's making some interesting kinds of patterns. So I'm going to pull a little bit from one more. This time I'm going to pull this piece over here, or actually this one here. Well, let's take this one. It's got that blurry gray. And copy it, go back to Untitled, and we'll save it, paste it. And again, we're going to twirl it a little bit this way. There's an organic feel to this one that I like. And then we'll make it proportionally larger. Press return. And I like some of the things that are going on. And again, we're going to play a little bit with opacity. And that gives us some texture in here that I was looking for. And maybe even a little larger. There we go. See, I wanted to get rid of that edge over there. And this is now looking kind of the way I envisioned it. And again, I'm looking at some of these edges. I want to create something that's going to look nice in the background. Press return. And now let's save it. And right now it's a Photoshop file, so we want to save this as a JPEG. Now we could save it as a Photoshop file. In fact, I'll press cancel and I'll say why. It's a Photoshop file because zoom background base. Okay, that saves the layers. When it's saved as a JPEG, it's going to condense all the layers. Okay, so File, Save As, and this time as a JPEG. And go ahead and click Save. And here you can see it's only going to be 188K. So that's right in the slot in terms of well under 5 megabytes. Click OK. And now the final step. Let's open up Zoom and create this as a custom background. And you'll see this is a great thing for you, perhaps your students, as it's your own work. Okay, so now we've opened up Zoom, and with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and change the background. So here, you want to go to Preferences under Zoom, go to the Preferences, and here it says Virtual Background. And here, I can choose a virtual background, and it includes, many of you have seen the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, Here's the background that a lot of you liked. I'm going to go ahead and click Add Image or Video. Add Image. And Zoom background base, there it is. Open. Okay. And if you had a green screen, that would be great. We don't. But as you can see, it's now we've got this wonderful abstract piece behind us, and you're ready for your custom piece that is different from all the other Zoom video backgrounds. And if I had a better background in terms of there, you noticed there was a portrait up on my wall, my living room wall, so that detracted a little bit from it, but that's why you see these white fuzzy edges. But otherwise, we're good to go, and we'll go ahead and enjoy yourself, and hopefully you'll have a good time with this, taking just a regular old abstract watercolor, wet on wet, and taking a few of those, and look at what you can create.